Howdy y'all, my name is Sarah and welcome back to Sarah's Cardboard. I hope you guys have had a great May so far. Today I wanted to take some time to talk about what it's like to be a energetic battery for people, and as well as what it looks like when your battery is leaking. A great example of a leaky battery would be like, for example, my old iPhone that's actively on the charger right this second because even though it says it's charging to 100%, it is a very old iPhone and the battery capacity is only at like 76%, which is still really good considering it's an iPhone 12 mini. But even when it says it's 100%, there's damage to the battery that makes it only charge to 76%. So I spend the majority of my day having to navigate charging my phone again, having to either keep a charger near me, having to charge it back up, having to leave it behind so it can charge, or just going without it and letting it be dead while I'm out in public. And this is a beautiful analogy for people because when you are somebody who manifests, you are somebody who is chants and generates energy within yourself to do magic or, any sort of energy manipulation in the universe. So this includes like working out. This includes trying to develop better habits. This includes trying to save up money. All of that is energetic work because you are interacting with the system outside of yourself to try to gain something, and it requires energy to do that. And so when you are doing something that requires energy, you are a magical battery. But you can tell when you are a leaky magical battery for other people when the second that you receive something, you allocate it out. So this would be the second you get paid, you spend every single cent that you have on bills, and then splurges or like going out to eat or lending somebody money hoping that they would pay you back. Those are all energetic leaks. Now, obviously, you can't remove every energetic leak, just like how on a phone you can't remove everything that drains your battery. All you can do is do what you can to reduce the background running apps, right? The things that perpetually leak your system. Um, and so there's non people related leaks and then there's people related leaks. The non people related leaks would be like laundry piling up. This would be clutter. This would be like junk drawers, things in storage that you haven't touched in a long time that you know you need to go through. This would be like household cleaning tasks, like maybe you haven't wiped your shower down in a while, or like you need to conquer the litter box, or you have dishes piling up, or you need to go cook dinner. When you are sitting down trying to work on anything, and any information that that you're procrastinating on, right? Anything that's running on a list in the back of your head, that is an energetic leak. That is something that is taking and diverting energy away from whatever it is you're doing towards those things. So for me, I do not work on my YouTube videos or my TikToks or anything. I don't work with my clients unless all my laundry is conquered, or at least most of it. Like I think I have one load of laundry that I know I need to put away right now. I don't do it until I have my dishes done, until my litter box is clean. If I don't have adequate food in the kitchen and I need to go grocery shopping, I'll handle that first. That's just because of me and my ethics, and also knowing that, like, my ability to sit here and talk on camera gets affected. And also, like, just talking to people and pulling my tarot cards, it gets affected, and I get more and more tired if I don't handle those things first. So for me, I have to patch up those little everyday leaks first before I continue on with my day. That way, when I'm doing the things that are energetic work, like tarot reads and making content and interacting with clients and doing, my advisement sessions, all of that is energetic work. So I have to patch up my leaks. And those are just examples of like the non-body leaks. Then you have monetary leaks. So this would be like if your ability to save money or have money in your bank account is affected because you have auto payments that you haven't canceled or they're not budgeted correctly. And so you're afraid that you're going to get hit with a payment that you can't afford. And so you like put your card on a lock or you throw money into a different bank account to avoid paying out to the payment that you're supposed to, that is a monetary leak. And so any and all money that comes to you is leaking out of your system, and it's creating like a diversion where you are actively having to manage where your money is at more intensely versus if it was properly budgeted for, or if you're not overspending, or if you're like you're living outside your means. If you were to reduce those issues, you wouldn't have the background tab of money in the back of your head, right? So that's monetary leaks. And then there's people leaks. And this one is a really hard one. This was one that I had to sit with within myself for a really long time. It's actually like one of the biggest things that I went through in my journal last year and the year before that. It's like a year and a half long adventure of repairing the magical leaks within my system. And this is where it gets a little woo woo, so I apologize if you're not super pro witchcraft and spirituality. This is where we get really into my philosophy on how energy works. Um, and honestly, it kind of resembles like contamination OCD, but I've noticed the more I honor this, the less reactions that I have. So when you are a magical battery for other people, this looks like if you have good luck, people ask you to do things for them. That way they could utilize your luck. This could be like opening Pokemon packs. Suddenly, you're being allocated these packs that if you don't open, you're disappointing other people. And so you're questioning whether or not your luck is legitimate. That's an energetic leak. When you are over anticipating other people's needs, and so you're running through lists in your head to try to navigate somebody else's emotional issues, and then you're like adjusting the way you navigate through life to accommodate those people. That's an energetic leak. If you're codependent and you revolve your schedule around other people's availability, and like you don't have like a true set time system for yourself, that is an energetic leak. um, if you feel like a tug in your chest or in your stomach when somebody texts you or calls you, and it makes you kind of want to avoid your phone, and you have a hard time, you know, feeling safe utilizing your social medias, that's an energetic leak because you're trying to avoid them. It's a background tab. So, energetic leaks are like phone apps that drain your battery perpetually. And there's no amount of amassing more energy that can fix those energetic leaks. There's just not, because if that was the case, then humans as a whole would be extremely abundant and we would not be facing the issues that we're facing right now. There's also trauma-based leaks. So if you are somebody that encountered, abundance-related issues as a child and you were neglected, or you were ignored for money, or you went without quite a bit, or like you were systematically oppressed within the school system because you were a poorer kid that couldn't navigate economically what other kids were navigating, like school uniforms, projects that had to be done, volunteer things like your birthdays, bringing cupcakes to school. All of that is trauma. And then obviously there's other kinds of traumas that I try not to be explicit about on YouTube, for the sake of family friendly guidelines. But when you have trauma in your system that goes unaddressed, you then begin to anticipate those triggers more frequently to avoid them causing issues for other people, and thus the energy leak happens. And so there's a lot of ways that a magical battery can get leaked. There's a lot of little springs and sprungs that can happen in your system where the second you receive, you give away. And so, like, if you immediately are rushing to tell somebody about something good that's happened in your life and you're immediately allocating the good news to other people, that opens you up to the possibility of them ruining that good news. That is an energetic leak. If the second you get paid, you go and splurge, and then you're skimping and, scraping pennies away for the next couple of weeks because payday is not for a while. And so you start looking at like ways to hustle. You're looking at things that you can pawn. You're looking at things you can sell. You're trying to like nickel and dime your way back from the overspending that you did. that's an energetic leak because it requires energy to recover from the choices that you made previously. This is also like loans, people taking loans out from people and not being able to pay them back and then avoiding them. Um, and like obviously, there's things that happen in life because I live in America. Our economy is completely fallen apart. Our healthcare system is unable to help people. Um, I run a small business and I have several clients that I've taken on and haven't personally paid me their invoices. And so there are things I can't pay because the economy has made it to where my clients can't afford to pay me for the services I provided. And so now I'm left waiting. And so I have an energetic loop that hasn't come to a close in that form. And so there's things that happen that make it hard to pay back the energy that somebody else has given you. Obviously, if somebody gifted you something and you don't know how to receive it, and so you give yourself a perpetual leak within yourself by thinking, oh, I need to pay this person back, or I need to give something back, or this is unequal because they've given me something and I can't give back to the same way they've given me. You are introducing leaks into your system. And a few ways that you can repair an energetic leak in your system would be, well, one, not anticipating the needs of others. Obviously, this is a little bit harder for parental figures who are responsible for dependents underneath them, like children, also like adults that are caregivers to disabled adults. Like that's a lot harder to navigate. Um, and when you work in a job that doesn't have proper boundaries and there's no like set guidelines on how to navigate certain issues in the workplace, or like delegate things in an efficient and timely manner, then everything falls onto you. And so it's really hard to get out of that. There is obviously no, as I said with phones, there is no amount of background apps running that you can remove that will bring you to perfection. Like you will always have a leak. But it's about being intentional in your leaks and knowing how to budget your energy accordingly. Because why, like a really beautiful example in my personal life was my boyfriend works for the federal government and he's been my sole provider for 2 years while I have been navigating my health and trying to figure out, what work can I do that accommodates me having seizures and migraines and barely being able to drive, unless under specific circumstances. And I can barely leave the house. And like, there's a lot of things. And so my boyfriend's been the sole provider. And then we just faced a government shutdown, entirely out of his control. And they stopped paying him. And so we faced 6 months of inconsistent income. There was nothing we could do. Yes, if I hurry up and found a job, which mind you, I was applying at jobs trying to get hired. One of the jobs I applied to earlier this year, I have an interview for now, but like still, it took getting out of the drain in order to get the interview. I'll explain that. But there was no amount of anything that we could do that was going to save us in this scenario. Yes, we could have taken loans out to help pay our way through the government shutdown. And in the first government shutdown, he borrowed from family members and immediately paid them back. But then the government shutdown happened again. And we knew that it just wasn't smart to have to take another loan out or to borrow from a family member or to like pull out from the savings, like through his work. It There was no amount of solutions that was going to fix it. And then me hurrying up and getting a job and trying to work outside of my energy control for the sake of money, but nothing that I was going to bring in would have been enough. There just were things that we couldn't do. What we could do was we utilized the resources that patched up a few of our leaks. So instead of going grocery shopping, we utilized the food banks. And instead of, you know, letting our bills pile up to the point where we had, fees associated with it and late fees, we worked with our creditors and our landlord and our accounts that we had to pay on, And luckily, they were accommodating enough that we were able to survive a good amount of time without additional fees. And then finally, we utilized a resource here in Austin where we've reached out to a church for assistance in a bill. And because we had navigated, like this is a firm belief of mine, because we have navigated things during that shutdown that made it possible for us to receive abundance without it immediately leaking back out of us, we got abundance. We got the assistance that we needed. We got a one time break that broke us out of a cycle of borrowing money to be able to pay our bills. And so when the government came back up, we had just enough money to wipe the slate clean and return to normal payments of, our all of our bills. And that is because our lifestyle has changed in a way that we don't leak out. So, a few ways that I have instituted financially and like just like socially in our household that I believe allowed us to receive this abundance. So, this is how I repaired our energetic leaks. Was we have stopped chasing novelty with our food. Something that I really struggled with was trying different recipes, buying different food, getting like a lot of freezer stuff, like prepackaged snacks. We pretty much got rid of all of that. Um, we eat whole food now. I'm gluten free, and instead of buying gluten free alternatives, I just don't have alternatives. And then to keep it equal, my boyfriend doesn't get those things. So, yes, we could get him chicken nuggets, but then the gluten free chicken nuggets are double the price for half the amount. And so, to try to keep things equal between us, we would have been chasing novelty in a way that we didn't need to. So, we got rid of that whole thing of chicken nuggets, and now we just cook chicken. And like, the same thing could be said with like cereals. We don't buy more than one kind of cereal that neither of us could eat. We just choose a cereal that we both can eat, and then that way it's equal. We're not chasing double for the sake of novelty and for having variety because let's be honest, going and buying fast food, there's limited options, and yet any day of the week we would go and buy that fast food. We would opt for the non novelty convenience option of fast food that we never changed, never bought different. It was the same thing we've been ordering for the entire 7 years we've been together. And so once I applied that mentality to our house, things got easier for us. So we don't leak at all when it comes to food. And then I've cut a lot of my vices out. It was a personal choice that I couldn't justify us spending on anymore. And so now I am on a completely clean slate of no inebriation related items because I couldn't justify the financial spend on it because when we would spend on my inebriations, then we would want to spend equally so my boyfriend could have, his extracurriculars. So like he would purchase more hobby items or order something online because it would keep us equal. And so now we've just completely removed it. And then our hobbies no longer, like, yes, it costs money for us to have our Pokemon collection hobby, but we don't open packs at all. We don't chase opening packs. We spend strictly on singles. We keep it under a certain budget. And so, like, we're able to go and enjoy our hobby without needing to spend, like, in the extremes in order to participate. We can spend $1 to $2 on a single or like $1 on 10 bulk cards and like I've gone through my Pokemon collection online and you can see like a lot of it's just bulk cards or like $1 to $5 cards. And we didn't need to buy a pack of cards and risk possibly not getting anything. So we removed gambling. So and then our friendships, we now have a very firm rule on our friendships where we don't pay for our friends to be our friends. Um, we like we don't spend extra money or send people money for them to have gas to come and see us. We don't go out of our way to purchase items for friends that weren't purchasing items for us. We made it very clear to new friends that gift us things that we cannot gift back to them in the same caliber. and we've seen a decrease in the gifts from them because we just can't keep up and keep the flow going back and forth. And it's helped us maintain a really healthy boundaries with new friends. Um, I don't like buy like when I host a meal or I have people over, I don't like cook other options that aren't what I'm cooking. It's either like there are already people that are interested in what I'm eating, or like I just don't spend the money to feed everybody. I don't like make it a whole event anymore. And so these were all ways that we patched up our abundance. So the second that we received the assistance from the church and that they paid our bills and we got back to pay, we are rocking and rolling. We're okay. Like, yeah, we're not perfect. It's the economy. We're on a one person income, and like we're waiting for my business to kick off in a way that's actually financially reputable for our house and like for us to return back to that kind of balance. Like, yeah, it's not perfect, but we didn't have a backlog within our heart. So, like, I talked about this with one of my clients. When you went through depletion in your childhood and teenagehood at the hands of lack of money, you have a backlog of what I call is soul debt that you chase to try to pay off. And you do that in the forms of trying to buy little knickknacks, trying to like collect little items, spending extra on going out to eat, buying clothes you don't need, upgrading your items more and more and more when you don't need it. And so it's like, I have an iPhone 12 mini that's currently not on a phone service plan because that would have just been an upgrade that didn't make any sense for my life. Instead, I just pay for a data pass and I have a phone number on a VoIP, and I have like a cracked iPad with a broken screen, and like I could go and repair the screen, but like nothing about that has damaged anything in my life because I don't do digital art anymore. I strictly do pen and paper art. Um, and so it's that kind of soul debt we don't have pre-built into us. We've already spent a lifetime clearing the soul debt from our teenage years of being financially out of the cycle that other teenagers were a part of. And then we face the consequences of overspending. And then we patched up the leaks within ourselves so that way once we returned back to payment, because again, 6 months of inconsistent to no pay. If you know anything about what happened to TSA had no money, and we weren't getting paid and nothing was getting paid. And then when we did get paid, it was going to bills. And so even though we were getting paid, we still could not buy extra. And so we did the work, the shadow work, um, to emotionally patch up the soul debt that could have accrued because we never gave it the chance to accrue. And so there is no nostalgia that we're chasing. There is no convenience that we're chasing. He was talking with his coworkers, and they're like, "Oh, what struggle meal are you eating for this shutdown?" And people are eating like a pack of Vienna sausages and crackers for dinner, or like they're having ramen packets. And my boyfriend's having baked chicken with like vegetables and like homemade mashed potatoes every day. And like we're having steak every so often, and like we're able to keep our food spending under $300 a month between us and three animals. That's a very beautiful feat that we are able to accomplish because we are no longer accruing an internal soul debt that we are forever trying to pay off. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share here, because something that has been consistent across my clients that I've taken on in my advisement is overspending, chasing novelty, and then accruing debt that you cannot pay off within your soul. So you end up depressed and miserable because you, in this economy, cannot make enough money to pay off all those leaks. Just like a human energetic battery, there's no amount of generating more energy that you can do to patch up the energetic leaks within your system. There is like, if you have a family member that is emotionally and mentally draining you and they're not doing any work to like fix their draining of you, and they just keep expecting you to do the mental and emotional work for them, there is no amount of mental emotional work that you can do that's going to heal them. You are just going to leak forever. And so there is choices that you have to make as a person to understand what is your responsibility, what is not your responsibility, what it looks like when you are operating at a maximum capacity of background apps in your brain, and then doing the work to clear those background apps. That means do your laundry even if it doesn't feel good to do it. That means do the cat box even if you just did it yesterday. That means if you need to wipe down the shower while you're in the shower and take extra time to do it, do it. If you need to work out and you've been putting off working out because you just don't want to do it energetically, that's what you have to do because you are already spending the energy by avoiding doing it. Like procrastination just increases. It's like taking a loan out on your energy. You're still going to have to do it. You are still going to have to learn to not spend. You are still going to have to pay back loans. You are still going to have to tell your family members, you can't keep treating me like this. You are still going to have boundaries with your friends. Whether or not you do it now doesn't matter because you're paying the cost of it now. And so, something I gave one of my advisement clients is the soul debt system, which is take your current income, take your salary, take what you make in an hour, use that as your basis, and then calculate every hour you spend leaking. So every amount of time that you spend going and grabbing your fast food, coming home, eating it, and then all the time you spend in the gym working it off, and then all of the food that you waste because you didn't eat it, and also the cost of fast food. All of that is the cost of an energetic leak of some kind, right? And so you calculate all the hours that go into why you're leaking, and then you're going to have to figure out how much you owe yourself. How much time do you need to spend energetically to heal the leak within your heart and your soul? Um, I have months to go in the gym to heal from years of eating all of my money. It was because I grew up in a household that was nutritionally starving me. Not for my dad's not for any other reason than my dad just didn't understand proper nutrition in America as a low income household that didn't get approved for government assistance. He navigated it the best that he could, but that didn't change the fact that I was so nutriently deprived, and it turns out that I have a gluten issue and all my intestines were messed up. And so now my intestines are finally healed after like 2, almost 3 years of gluten free. And now I'm able to process my food. Now I'm paying off all of the soul debt of the whole 27 years leading up to this, where I was nutritionally deprived, where my leak was at. Because I was so nutritionally deprived, the second I got money, I ate and ate and ate until I spent my very last dollar because I was trying to fill the soul debt of nutrients that I didn't know was nutrients. I thought it was because I wanted fast food like teenagers, that because my dad didn't buy me fast food, I wanted fast food. No, I was chasing hunger that could not be satiated because I was so desperate for nutrients I never experienced. And now I have to pay the debt of that. And that really sucks. And like, don't get me wrong, I hate getting in that gym. I hate having to cook my own meals. I hate that I had to, you know, do all of this work to develop the recipes that I can eat consistently, and like the sacrifices I make when I go out in public and with friends and out to festivals. And I can't eat because if I eat, I accrue another debt, which is I am nutritionally deficient and I have to make up for it at home with nutritious meals and working out and doing all the hormonally balancing items. And so, all of this is to say that I speak to this advice of clearing your energetic debt, your loops, and your labor and leaks from a place of somebody that did have loops and leaks and labor, and I still navigate my life every day ensuring I don't make a new leak because you can see the candles behind me. I'm talking to people about advisement. I'm doing witchcraft for like I have spells for sale. And so if somebody's going to be paying me money to energetically work for them, I'm gonna be energetically clear enough to do it. Like medically clear, you know? I'm medically cleared. I'm energetically cleared to do the work that I'm doing. because I'm not afraid to talk about this stuff and talk about how I navigated clearing my debt and how in my day life, again, we just came out of the government shutdown. We just returned to getting payment. And now I have a job interview with a job that's going to work with my health in a part time capacity so I can still focus on my business. That way, my business is not my sole income. And then my boyfriend's not my sole income, which makes it so much more aligned for me to receive the abundance through my business because now people aren't coming to me as my sole provider of income, which creates an energetic, clear playing field for me to do the work I need to do and for people to pay the way that they need to because they should not be paying out of debt. They should not be overextending themselves to hire me to pay for it. The goal is to meet where it's safe energetically and monetarily, and then walk away without new debt. That is all. So I hope that you learned something from this. I hope I didn't ramble too crazily about it. I was going to reference the journal, but every time I crack open that journal and I try to read what I went through, it's a lesson that I've learned so many times that I don't feel the need to learn it again. It's time for me to teach it because someone somewhere needs to know, hey, your magic battery is leaking, and there's a reason why your spells aren't coming into fruition. It's because you gotta patch those leaks up. So if you're interested in advisement, you can reach out to me on Sarah's Cardboard on all platforms. I have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I also have an email that'll be down in the description for you to reach out to me if you're curious about my pricing for advisement, and if you would like to talk about your energetic leaks or anything. I don't just specialize in witchcraft. I'm trauma informed, not licensed. I am not a licensed provider, but I am someone who has encountered enough trauma in the lifetime to know how to help other people navigate it. But I am helping my clients right now with moving, healing from losing adult children relationships, navigating financial overspend, and then just like a general spirituality recovery where you're coming back to being just a human as well as spiritual. So my spectrum is pretty large, and I feel like it's worth like investing in. And that is why I take the time to film these really long videos that teach my philosophies and my insight and the way I navigate these things within myself. That way, someone somewhere can learn even if they cannot hire me. It is still a form of access to me that is energetically clear for me and it's energetically clear for you because you don't have to do the work. That's okay. It's not my job to gauge whether or not you did the work. It is my job to just show up in a way that is integrous within my own energy, doesn't create a leak, doesn't stress me out, and then I'm going to walk away feeling satisfied. Anything outside of that is just a bonus. So I feel good where I'm at, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Should I post again, I will see you guys very soon. Otherwise, we'll find out what's next. Thanks.